Zellicoe speaking, who wrote or edited that so-called commission report for Bush. And again, complete silence about any alternative hypotheses. It's as if all the work of Richard Gage and all the other researchers is, never happened. Well, this is about the distortion of truth, and this is when, history becomes a propaganda exercise in who shouts loudest determines the narrative. Well, I don't believe that's what history's about. I don't believe that's what we should be doing as historians, manufacturing history and then promoting it by shouting it loudest. No, the University of Sussex, where my mother taught, has as its motto, be still and know. So I'm in that lineage, which is a biblical quote. In that stillness comes true knowledge, and that stillness can only come with silence. So we have to reflect in our deep soul on what is true, and then we find out. Okay, so the other thing that's happened this last week, which I think is really sweet, is it's the day of the guardian angels. I love the Christian calendar. I love all the sacred calendars, but I follow them all in my daily prayer practice. And yesterday was the day of the Holy Guardian Angels. It's a Christian feast in which you remember that each soul in incarnation, each person, has a guardian angel looking after them. Muslims believe this, all Christians believe this, and I believe many Jews believe this. And Zoroastrians likewise, and I think, all cultures that believe there is a spiritual world realize that the spiritual beings of that world care about us. They're concerned for us. And so, each of us is assigned, I think, at least one protector, angel, divinity, whatever you want to call it. The Japanese call them the kami, which means the spirit beings, the deities, if you want. And so I think it's a good day on that day in the year to light a candle, go into a church or just in your own altar space. Light a candle and pray, invoke your guardian angel and see how they can guide you. And I know there are many kind of New Age channeler types that do this and channel that stuff. But what I love is that it's there actually as part of the Orthodox calendar. There's a day a year devoted to everyone's guardian angels. And it was yesterday, the 2nd of October, which just happens to be Gandhi's birthday. So that's very appropriate, isn't it? Because poor old Gandhi was killed finally for his witness to truth. His guardian angel worked overtime. And in the end, he was killed by a fanatic, supposedly of his own religion, so-called Hinduism. Well, those fanatics are not Hindus. They're just racist, nationalist bigots who self-promote. Unfortunately, we've got one of them running the Home Office in Britain. And unfortunately, they bought into the Brexit rhetoric because it feeds their own megalomania. No, that kind of right-wing fascist Hinduism, which killed Gandhi, is the complete antithesis of authentic Hinduism, which was upheld by Gandhi and by Nehru, and the original mind of India is a haven of tolerance and a haven of non-violence and a haven of peace. That's what the Brahmins believe in, and so do I as a Druid. That's the religion of non-violence. And yesterday was the day in the year when we celebrate that. But how we get there, as I said, the metaphysics of non-violence needs some serious thinking through. That's what I've devoted the last 30 years of my teaching career to. And you can read my books, I've explained. And other colleagues, other philosophers are doing the same. And then I come to Brexit again, Boris Johnson and his antics. And I find it utterly shocking and repulsive that in his interview with Andrew Marr, I think it was this morning, he he says casually, no, I don't know what's going to happen to all the abattoirs in Britain. We don't have enough workers to man them. So we're just going to slaughter all the animals. We're going to have a massive holocaust of pigs. And I mean, the man is immoral and lacking in intelligence, lacking in moral intelligence. And yet, so he's not worthy of the office of Prime Minister. And by debasing it in this way, it will be the last Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, because Scotland is leaving. The Scots are very moral, intelligent people who've seen through the shenanigans of this Tory party, which is a fake Tory party. The real Conservatives were all Remainers. It's a cabal that hijacked the Conservative Party. And as I've said before, there are no values listed in the Constitution of the Conservative Party. David Cameron attempted to get them articulated, failed. They have no values. And so when the young Scottish MP gets up and says Mr. Boris Johnson has no values, I mean, she literally is telling the truth. These Tories, they don't even have to have any values because it's not in their constitution. Well, that is an unacceptable and shocking state of affairs, and I believe the people of England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have seen through this man. I don't think he's going to last till Christmas. The lorry driver catastrophe, the scandals, they just heap up and up, and he can't go on playing the ignorance card, like, oh, I didn't know, or oh, I wasn't warned, or gosh, isn't this terrible, I better do something about it. I mean, he plays to Britain's love of eccentricity, amateurism, anti-officialdom, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we actually need people running our institutions that are educated, are trained, are qualified. It's as if we've got Beryl the Peril running the NHS. For any of you that remember a cartoon character called Beryl the Peril when I was growing up as a boy in Britain in the 60s, complete anti-establishment sort of tearaway young girl, and she didn't believe in doing anything by the book. So now we've got that kind of a mentality running the country, and Dominic Cummings exemplified that as well. It's not good enough, it really isn't. And as a philosopher of history, I can just say that history is unraveling its karmic web here. If you live by lies, as these people have done, if you construct a web of lies and hope you can get away with it, you might be able to fool the people, you might be able to hire PR firms that can game the system so that it looks good. But reality, the absolute reality of life finds you out. And the karmic repercussions, I think, are that when this man and his cabal fall, this Conservative Party will never, ever, ever again be tasked with governing the United Kingdom, because it will have ceased to exist. And nor will it in England. The Lib Dems are the only moral party that can replace it, in alliance with Labour and the Green Party. We need what they've got now in Germany, a kind of Liberal Democrat, Green, Social Democrat alliance. The Germans are ahead of the game here, and they're not fools. They've worked out how they want to be governed. Well, it's time the British copied them and worked out what can save our country. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I've shared. This is just like my weekly broadcast, an update on what I've been doing. I will be posting links to the conferences I've mentioned. It's been quite a busy week, and although Sarah has gone, I'm still carrying on with the work we did on the on the tarot project that I'm working on. I'm designing a tarot pack. Okay, so I'm going to read a poem. This is a poem I wrote a couple of years back. It's called At Amboise, by the tomb of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo is one of my heroes. Interestingly, Sarah's one of Sarah's heroes as well. She also loved Leonardo. That's why she's an artist. I joked and called her Leonardini because she's like a female version of Leonardo, even looked like her. And I went to the tomb of Leonardo a couple of years back with my friend Geoffrey Gale. And I think I've said before, but I'll repeat, that as he was dying in Amboise, which is just up the road on the Loire, he was crying. And he was a man of spirituality, you know, he believed in life after death. He was a Catholic Christian, he'd taken the last sacraments and so on. And the king asked him, "Why are you crying, Leonardo?" And he said, presumably in French, you know, "Because I haven't achieved all that I wanted to achieve. And I've left so much undone or half done." That feeling of, I'm dying too early, I haven't done it all. I totally can resonate with that, you know. I mean, I'm trying to do 140 things. I've got about 300 unwritten projects I'm working on. I'm working through them bit by bit. But I might well die before I finish them all. And I will cry too, because I want to finish them. It's my duty to finish them for those that come after. So I understand Leonardo's tears. And I think anybody that has an ambition to help the planet, to save mankind from the follies of ignorance, will also shed what I call Leonardo's tears. Because there's so much work to be done, and we're not doing enough of it, are we? Let's face it. Or these idiots wouldn't still be in power, right? So anyway, that's the context. You need to know that about Leonardo's tears before I read the poem. To capture the snapshots of being, you need a magic camera, seeing everything from all angles, at once, above, below. Every perspective and direction, like Brahma vision, smiling omnisciently, or Perun, saluting the four quarters in a rainbow ray of knowing. To see the possibilities of each moment, down to the micro details, you need the eyes of Leonardo. Their soft Italian blackness, like the hills above Vinci at night, all wet with wines and dreams, where his parents conceived him as a hymn in praise of beauty. He never stopped looking, ever. Whether at gold, at folds of silk, at shadows on cloth, or cheeks shading, whether at breasts slender and subtle as downland, or hair as bleached as corn, or those eyes following you. He saw it all like a bird with shaman's eyes, whose feathers came down to him. To see the meaning of what you're seeing, you need something behind the eyes, something even deeper, a light before colour comes, a love before even kisses are launched, that goes from heart to heart, yet never vanishes or leaves, is always here. To hold the purpose of the why we know, why we were given such soul vision and such mind seeing, why our notebooks keep on filling up, where poems keep on coming from. You'd have to name each minute. You'd have to stretch the light and touch the stars. Everywhere, all at once, like a 3D cosmic movie the size of the universe. Yet, of course, it can't be done. We can only train this organ, study that blood vessel. We can perhaps work out the angle when light falls as shadow in that way. We can paint that gorgeous beauty enough to stop ships in their tracks and send them beyond even the Bermuda Triangle of love, where compass cannot compass, but just share with love's strange gravity you cannot see or sail, but sense and drown in? Yet still, when night falls and the dark birds are singing softly on the windowsill, a seeing comes, a going on, light gently fading, what things half done, what sights and longings unrecorded, whispered words from angels that will not get written down. The recipe to turn the liquor of regret into the elixir of wisdom love, for which you'll need old Leonardos' tears.